You can literally have zero revenue and you can reach out to companies to assign partnerships. So for example, if I wanted to reach out to the people that license Smurfs movie and I wanted to come out with a sock line, but I wanted to launch exclusively through Target, I would reach out to people on Target, letting them know about this line and put together a 2-page deck with AI nowadays. And then I pitch them on it. Target goes, this is dope. If you guys get Smurfs for socks, we will do nationwide and we'll do .com. That's amazing. I go back to Smurfs and go, hey, we got Target.com and nationwide if we can do the socks. Are you ready to sign this contract? And so now with $0, I have a nationwide deal with Target without them knowing who I am.
If you know the slightest thing about oral care, you probably know today's guest. A 9-figure brand builder, an advisor, an investor. This guy literally does it all. And he's done it all before the age of 32. Josh Snow, who just officially changed his name to Snow, is our special guest for today. He's built Snow Teeth Whitening, which is the largest DTC oral care brand in the world. And he's here to share how he did it and how he did it so quickly and his challenges and what he feels like the market's going to see next. So let's welcome Josh Snow onto the show. Josh, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to spend time with us.
No, of course, man. Ron and Ash, it's a pleasure, and thank you for having me on. I know that I've certainly been looking forward to this for quite some time, so I'm really excited to chat with you guys.
Absolutely, likewise.
I think, you gave an amazing introduction, but Josh, I think for those who haven't, heard your story yet, give us a quick rundown on your past and hopefully
Sure.
the future.
Absolutely. I'll give you a quick rundown. I started at 13 years old building websites. Grew up without much resources and wanted to figure another way out. And building websites was something that didn't cost money or a ton of money. And I built my first websites in the public library, and then built that into an agency for building websites for other people, and then managing advertising spend for those clients, which allowed me to spend tens of millions of dollars of my clients' money to learn a lot of things: direct response, advertising, team building, etc. And then when I graduated university at 20 years old, I sold that agency, and I sold a couple of the other companies that I was working on. They were all around e-commerce. So some of my clients would come to me and say, as a real example, garagedoornation.com, which is still alive today. My one of my best friends and clients at the time, very early on, this is 10 years ago, said, hey, I want to sell garage door springs online, but there are 1.8 million variations and Shopify doesn't really work with that. And so we created Garage Door Nation, which I've since exited a few years ago, but that was one of the first places to go online for DIY. And during the recession, my partner, Tommy, who had one of the largest and now the largest garage service company, was looking to kind of reach that audience that was looking to save a little bit of money and do it themselves. And it can be it is a dangerous DIY process compared to other things. So we created these videos on YouTube. They now have millions of views organically, teaching people how to save money on their springs. And then kind of the people come out of the recession and people aren't afraid to spend $300 on a thing versus 60. So it comes in ebbs and flows, but that was really the beginning days where I said, wow, I could not just build a website for a client. I could not just run advertising for a client. I could actually build something unique that could solve a real problem and then use my traffic and use all my other stuff I learned on it. So that was early on. I was 18. That was over 10 years ago. I was 17, 18 when that project launched. And I had probably half a dozen other projects that I was building. And then when I graduated university, sold a couple businesses, and I was trying to figure out what to do next. And I put aside jaw surgery for most of my life. I knew I was going to have corrective jaw surgery at some point in my life. I had a misaligned jaw and it was causing headaches and stuff. So I went through that process while I had some downtime to go through my oral surgery. And naturally, as an entrepreneur, I'm researching the market for oral care. And at the time, I was looking for a really big challenge too, because I was kind of jaded with the entrepreneurial process, especially the money side of things. I was like, once I make $1 million, I'll do this. Once I make $10 million, I'll do this. Once I make $100 million. So there was just this kind of constant chase. And I finally gave up and just said, the pursuit is my happiness. Like I have to work on something because kind of building these things and selling them and here and there wasn't giving me from a sport perspective as an athlete in the sport of business. I wanted to take it to the next level. And so I looked at oral care. Obviously, 7.8 billion people have teeth. It's a huge market. Very, very tough to penetrate from an offline environment, some very large players. And I looked at that and said, that might be challenging enough for me to focus on for long enough for the pursuit to keep me intrigued. And now 7 years later, we're the #1 oral cosmetic brand in the world. We bootstrapped the first $100 million in sales. And I've taken a total of $0 off the table since the beginning of the company. And I have no expectation to take money off the table anytime soon. So it was built for a whole different reason. It was built to perhaps satiate a need that a lot of us have. And a lot of my team members that have now joined Snow, they know that all the stuff I have and all the stuff that I bought, none of it's from Snow. And so they know that when they're working at Snow, they can do their absolute best work with me because I'm not looking to make another Lambo or try to pay my Range Rover payment. I'm good. I'm trying to change the world. I'm trying to find people that want to do that and inspire the world, which is ultimately my most important endeavor through nonprofit and through Powerhouse and through everything that I do is to share as real time as I can so that I get a multiplier effect to my learnings. And I've chosen to focus on entrepreneurs, and I have a TV show. We're going to our season 2, filming season 2 right now called Going Public. You can watch it at goingpublic.com. And that is a first show of its type. Imagine American Idol meets Shark Tank, and you're able to actually invest while you're watching the show. And what I realized was that the opportunity to teach and to inspire was really, really huge for me. And doing that TV show was a step in that right direction. But as a result of Snow and bootstrapping and building that business intentionally, not necessarily knowing exactly where we're going to be, no one ever does from day one, but just an idea of starting with teeth whitening and then saying if we can wedge ourselves as Snow Teeth Whitening, we'd one day have the trademark of Snow. We'd one day have the username of Snow. We'd one day be Snow, and we maybe even rank on Google. I think right now we rank number 2 for if you just type the word Snow, which is random. But that was in the beginning, and even though I wasn't Josh Snow at the time, but I was still Josh at the time, and so there was some faith in there, but there was still that questioning of, is this a market that I could stick to? Is this a market that would actually respond? Is this something, so there are all those things that we all go through, but Snow, amongst the others, stood out as that really strong focal point for me. Now, all the other businesses are profitable. We generated hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. I generated over 9 figures in exits of companies I founded myself outside of Snow. And so those ones are built for slightly different rationales, all to empower, inspire, and to drive a better solution for our customers. But some of those are investor backed. Some of them are funds, so they're naturally investor focused and they have to drive a return. Snow is really something that I've protected for 7 years now, so that there's an opportunity to create something that is, has a chance to truly be a household name. And I think it takes the discipline and a heck of a lot of patience. And I can tell you this, I've never had more fun in my life in terms of the challenges. I got exactly what I was asking for. And as a result, I've been challenged to become a much better man, a much better partner, a much better friend, a much better leader, a much better recruiter, a much better retainer. All of these things that inspire storytelling, it's really challenged those pieces because you can't do big things alone. So I have to become really good at really conveying and then matching someone's superpowers with where they want to be in the next few years, so that Snow is hopefully their life's work. The best work they ever did was at Snow, and that was what created the mark in their career, and they'll never have to ask for clients again. If they're a part of the Snow team, no one needs to ask questions. And that was really the dream from the beginning, was to work on something big enough, smart enough, and almost all the odds stacked against us, so that only the craziest people would emerge and join me on this kind of track. And that was what Snow emerged. And today it's, we can talk about where it's evolving, but I've been a lifelong entrepreneur since I was 13. I've never known anything else. And I started because I wanted to make $100 so I could buy my own school supplies. That was really the mission in the beginning. I didn't know what a Lamborghini was. I was taking the city bus. And so now 17 years later, I just turned 30 in December, and I feel like, what does Josh want to be when he grows up? And I want to continue doing what I'm doing, inspiring. I want Snow to continue to grow. We're now looking at partnerships. We acquired our first 2 brands last year, and we're looking at expanding that ecosystem, and then continuing to educate and inspire and invest. Invest has become a big part of my vocabulary, especially the last few years, mainly because after making a lot of money and trusting other people to manage it and trying all kinds of stuff, I said, all right, I can't outsource like the money. You can't outsource making money for you. So how would you outsource investing it without knowing it? And so I kind of went down this track for the last few years, investing millions of dollars of my own money just to test everything from real estate, commercial real estate versus residential, mobile parks versus RV home parks, like all these different styles of investments, most of them passive. I'm an investor in wine and champagne, all of which I will never drink. It's stored in a facility in London, and I get to see it on an app. And so now I'm jumping into my entrepreneur pants again and creating opportunities for my friends, AKA all entrepreneurs and all accredited investors out there, to be able to tap into some of the things that I've been able to figure out while getting these exits and while getting this cash, and figure out, what do I do with it? I don't want to blow it. Where do I invest it? Do I invest in 50 DTC brands? Do I invest in real estate only? Figuring that out has been also, I think it's honestly the most important piece of my entire journey, because making it's one thing, saving, investing, and growing so that you can impact more is really, 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 really important. So I just said, I have to become an expert. I have to become an expert on my money. I have to become an expert on investments. And then if I'm good enough at it, then maybe I can find partners and I can allow everyone to join us so that everybody can get access to these returns. And that's what I've been focused on, outside of Snow, when there is any personal time for the extracurricular entrepreneurial activities. It's opening up those investment opportunities that I found. So that's where I'm at today.
It's insane. It's incredible.
So much to unpack there.
Yeah. I think one of the pieces you touched on, right, which was you've been building, and I think a good builder remains a builder their whole life, right? And I think it'd be good to kind of touch on something that's a little bit maybe more on the tactical side, right? Which is, you've been building a lot of different things, and over the course of time, you've also seen a lot of ups and downs in the market, consumer behavior changing, price elasticity changing, just tons and tons of variances happening. I'd love for you to maybe unpack like a couple of challenges and like how you kind of attack them. Because a lot of our viewers, they're people that are literally in the weeds all day, trying to figure out the next challenge. And it's not 2021 where anything you touch is typically gold. And so now it's typically the opposite. And so maybe if you can enlighten some ways that you encounter challenges and approach them, would be awesome.
Of course. Yeah, it's a great question. Infinite challenges. In fact, you have to kind of wake up looking for those challenges. And then you have to prioritize those challenges, because challenges disguised as opportunities can sometimes be your next big partnership, your next big opportunity. And then sometimes they're just challenges, and you have to learn from them and get through them and not die. And that's really the trick. And what I found, and I'll highlight a couple specific tactical challenges, but what I found time and time again is businesses go out of business for one main reason, which is liquidity. And the second reason is relevance. And a lot of times chasing relevance causes companies to challenge a liquidity basis. That means Blockbuster trying to chase Netflix, or, Facebook right now spending $49 billion on VRs, and Apple came out with theirs. And so same with Amazon, right? Jeff Bezos is known for taking billion-dollar risks 5 at a time. And, the ones that work out, like AWS, end up making the entire market cap. So there's that kind of attraction to challenges, because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we can't help but obsess over those challenges. And so I wanted to say that, because obviously there are challenges every day, but some of the big ones when we look at, I acquired dealflowbrokerage.com because I've always wanted to be in the brokerage space for buying and selling businesses, and we're buy side focused. But when we look at deals and we look at valuation pillars, that brings me back to pretty much all the biggest challenges in every business I've had. So sales channel diversification, product diversification, geo diversification, people, very important, and then legal. So those are some big areas for any brand. Even if you're in SaaS, which I have a lot of investments in SaaS, it's a product. And so when we look at product diversification, one of the biggest mistakes, which is not really avoidable without cash, or I'll give you another tactic, partnership. So for example, Snow ran into, let's talk about geo diversification. So 7.8 billion people with teeth. Most good ideas are already thought of. There's 150 countries. So there's got to be another Obvi out there. There's got to be another Snow out there in Egypt or in Dubai or somewhere. And so what I realized, and what I, pitched to our board and to the team is, and I explained this, is it's less risky for us to partner with some of the leading brands that are doing exactly what we do, slightly different language, different landing page, maybe different ingredients. It's better for us to, now that Snow has this platform, for us to partner with these personal care challenger brands and be able to merchandise together. So product pipeline was a problem. We started with one product, sold nearly 2 million to date of that original system that I created for first 95 and then 149. And the issue is that you're driving traffic and they only have one product to buy. So if they don't want to buy a teeth whitening kit, they're out. So product diversification is huge. You can use some tools like Caro, and there's other tools that you can use to pipe in other products. But one of the tools I utilize is collaboration. And so people see competition, I see collaboration. And so, especially if you pick a market that's big enough, if you're just doing pool cleaning in London, 1 mile radius, you might have actual competition. But if you're talking about collagen, protein, toothpaste, toilet paper, you're talking about a commodity that has been tweaked per geo to be more successful. I'm not from London, where I'm at. I'm here in London today, and I met earlier with a potential partnership that is one of the largest oral care challenger brands in the UK. Same thing. So Snow's coming to the UK. And so we've been working for about a year and a half. It's our second largest geo. By the time we figure all that stuff out, and we hire boots on the ground and hire an agency and seeding and influencer and all that stuff, or I can pull up an ad spy tool and I can type in teeth and I can see who's crushing on TikTok, go on LinkedIn, type in the name, find the person who owns it, use a tool like Signal Hire or Rocket Reach, get their iMessage number, iMessage them. Hey, it's Josh Snow. Love what you're doing. Most likely they know of Snow, or they know who I am because they're in the teeth whitening space. So they go, whoa, what do you want to do? What do you want to talk to me? And so it's initially a difficult conversation to break because competition, people default to scarcity mindset because it's survival. And if I help you, that means that I won't have enough help. And that's probably one of the most difficult challenges, is aligning incentives based on timelines. So if I'm thinking 10 years out and I'm trying to do a deal with someone who's trying to get their mortgage paid off in 3 months, we might not. It's going to be difficult to connect those unless we transparently break those through. So we went through geo diversification through partnership, product pipeline diversification through obviously creating more products, or using a tool to add products to your website to sell through partnership, adding affiliated products. Because once you drive that traffic to that website, Starbucks is the most famous example of this. Howard Schultz writes in his book that when Starbucks started, they were just selling coffee for $2. Pike Place Roast for $1.80. And all the investors said, how are you ever going to, make it? And they partnered with a company called Bouchon Bakery in San Francisco about 7 or 8 years ago. And they started placing the Bouchon Bakery pastries inside of the Starbucks to test it. And then they acquired Bouchon Bakery about a year later for 90 million cash. And that is now responsible for billions of dollars inside of Starbucks ecosystem. So the ability, in my belief, that acquisition is simply the least risky, most proven way to grow a business. Most of the big businesses, like LVMH, the richest guy in the world, Bernard Arnault, started a total of 0 brands of his own. He only acquired. He bought Christian Dior in 1987. They were in trouble, and went on and used that as leverage to buy all of these legacy prestige brands, because he found out. I was reading something that he wrote, and he realized that you can't build what he's buying. So he's buying, Hermes. He owns 20% of Hermes. That Birkin bag, you can create one. You can try to. It's going to be tough to get that level of exclusivity, because that's 100 years of that. So that was product pipeline. And then people. I love the people side of things, because the who is generally the solution to most businesses. And so on the people side, one of the things I like to do, let's say I'm having issues with, or let's say I'm really interested in TikTok, which obviously we're interested in TikTok. What other brands are out there really crushing it? Well, here's a makeup brand that's really crushing it. I go on LinkedIn, I type in the makeup brand, I find the team members through LinkedIn, makes it so easy. I hit my little tool, gets their cell phone number, I shoot them a text, say, hey, can I pay you $500 for 30 minutes of your time? I'm looking to hire in this area. Love what you've done with so-and-so. It's non-competitive. Why not? And most people have never been even offered something like this. They're working at a company. They're the VP of paid social, and they never had anyone reach out on LinkedIn offering to pay $500, and it's legit. And, sometimes I'll even Venmo them ahead of time if I grab their email and it connects to Zelle or Venmo. Like, hey, I sent you half of the 500. I want to pay for 30 minutes. Let me know over the next 2 weeks when you have 30 minutes available, and I'll send you that other price as soon as we leave the call. Oh, sounds great. And by the way, don't return it to me. If we never make the call, we can do it over email. Just take it as a token of my appreciation. I would love some referrals. So one of the quickest ways with people is you want to fast track. So I could go and post a job. We're looking for TikTok locally, interview people. That takes time. I could go to a recruiter, which would expedite that time as well. But you're paying 25%, but that's fine if you need the time to get them. Then you go directly to LinkedIn. So I find tangential brands that are crushing in exactly what I'm looking to do. If it's connected TV or it's Amazon running paid media to Amazon, and there's someone that's doing really well, I will find the guy on LinkedIn, and I will pay him as much as I can, or her, $1,000 for 10 minutes of your time. Hey, what do you recommend? 3 things that you messed up on when you were doing this. Like, quick, 10 minutes. And then who's one person you recommend I talk to? And I just Venmo you for our next 10 minutes. Let me know when you're free the next week. So I capture that's why I love the internet, LinkedIn. Before, you would be like, hey, Ash, do you know anyone in HR? Oh, I met someone at the golf club. I think their cousin. Nope. Go to HR awards in your city, find the companies that want it, go on LinkedIn, find the person responsible for that, reach out to them, offer them as little as $50, $100, lunch, something, gift card, and say, hey, I'm looking to hire in this area. What'll happen is they're going to give you great advice. They're sometimes going to want to take the job themselves if you're really good at it. And worst case scenario, they have referrals, and I pay for referrals. So I always pay for referrals. So we follow up and make sure that referrals are paid for. And now that person, I planted a seed with that person for the rest of their life. They know exactly what Snow's doing. They know why we're doing it. They know that I'm looking to partner with other personal care and oral care brands that are profitable and growing. They know all this dialed in 30 minutes, and they're at the top of their field in makeup, though. So makeup and TikTok and Snow and TikTok, kind of the same thing. So if I can go here, that's how I solve the people problem. There are platforms like Intro, MentorPass, Clarity.fm, all of which I use as a consumer to go on and hijack time. How can I go straight to the CEO of Zillow? Specifically, what am I looking for? Hey, when you guys went through that lawsuit, who did you use? Like, specifically, I can go direct based on a little bit of research. So that's how I would recommend. Everybody can do this. You can pay. A lot of times people don't even want to accept the cash to jump on. They're like, I'll jump on. I'll talk to you. I've never had anyone ask me this before. I've been working at this for 10 years. You're the first person that acknowledged me. So worst case scenario, right? But I like to pay where value is driven. And I would say that tactic alone is responsible for at least $100 million cash.
It's learning a ton right now.
It's incredible.
One thing I would from this conversation, right? It doesn't sound like you have any interest in selling Snow. right? You want to be the acquirer, right? So when you are looking at these different brands and different geolocations, are there specific things you're looking at within this business to say, hey, this is going to be a valuable acquisition for Snow? And I think I want to kind of tailor the question a little bit around for brands that are kind of just building up now, right? That are looking to get acquired. I guess kind of a two-part question is what do you need to do to be valuable to an acquirer?
Tons of features are often talked about when it comes to why an app is obviously useful. Besides knowing what it can do for your business, what are the actual fundamental things it helps when it comes to the consumer itself?
So in addition to giving value to the consumers, which is number one, what we want it to do, logistically, the app converts a lot better, right? There's one-click checkout. All of our, buy now, pay laters are compatible, integrate with them. Our subscription platform integrates with them. For loyalty, we use reviews.io, and everything is able to be managed from within the app. So like I said, it's one place to give value, but two, if you're making a purchase, it's the easiest place to do it.
If you want to get started today building an app, you can get up to 2 months free with TapCard. Remember, they take care of the entire build out, so you don't have to. Get started today building an app for your brand. Now, let's get back to the episode.
What do you need to do to be valuable to an acquirer?
Exactly. That's a great question. I mean, it goes back to that same kind of matrix for, at the end of the day, they're looking at your profit growth, subscription, email newsletter, traffic channels, sales channels. So in the very beginning, even when you're thinking, let's say you're scaling the very first kind of trek of your brand, the idea is, one of my mentors told me, he's like, if you ever sell Snow, you're probably going to regret it, if not short-term, mid-term, long-term. I regret selling. He told me he sold a company in 1970, took public and sold it. And he's like, if I would have just held on to that thing, I wouldn't have to do the other three that I took public as well. And I could have just kind of kept doing that. So there's a deep, deep thing inside of there. And the reason why I mention this is because the businesses that get the highest multiples, the founders that are able to negotiate the highest cash up front and all those things, the best business to sell is one that you never want to sell. It's one that's printing so much cash with doing no work, just like a company I sold last year, compared to the cash it was producing to the amount of labor cost for that to produce, then that's a business you want to sell. And that's a business on the up and up. That's a business nice and clean. And so what you want to think, it's kind of a double entendre. In order to build the most exitable company, pretend like you want to keep it. And you have to keep it. And you have to give it to your son and your grandson. So you're not going to cheat the books. So you're not going to cheat the quality of the formula, because these customers will remember 48 years from now. And they go, why did Grandpapa Ron tell them that we had a 100-year warranty? And now 100 years later, everyone's coming back with an empty tub and the drink cup. So you got to think about those things. And one of my mentors built a company called Discount Tire, and it's the largest tire retailer in the world. And the discipline that is required when people are building a brand to sell, you want to think about, how do I build a brand that as soon as I get an offer, even if it's a juicy one, I kind of want to not take it. And if you get to a position like that, what does that mean? That could be a small business, 1 million a year profit, $500,000 a year profit, and you could sell for 10x. You sell for a huge multiple. How do you do that? Well, you got to think about, and when I'm looking at these companies, the first part of your question, what I'm sensing for, at least for Snow particularly, but it's kind of the same across the board. Sales diversification. So for example, there's a brand that we're talking to that drives all of their sales through late night TV ads. So they buy run of network TV. They don't do Amazon. They don't do TikTok. They just do that. They're not very large, but they dominate that platform. I see an acqui-hire potential because they know that channel. I can instantly give them 30 plus products to merchandise on that same channel. So when I look at it, I look at a sales uniqueness like a channel. So another one, natural grocer. We're not a natural grocer today. If there's an independent brand doing really well in natural grocer, that's probably someone who we want to partner with, because by the time we roll out through line review, it's going to take at least 9 months, even through expedited line review, 6 months. So I'm going to buy at least 6 months of time. I'm instantly on shelf We can start working on the product pipeline. We can say enhanced by Snow Whitening on the box with that brand. There's lots of ways for us. And then we can come back to the retail partner and say, hey, you know that brand? That's, we're actually partners with them. And we're actually Snow. And we've got some other brands too. And we wanted to talk to you since this is doing so well. How do we really take over the oral care department in Whole Foods together with 6 brands that you love plus Snow? That way it's a shoe in. It's a lot easier. So when you're smaller, what you want to think about is usually, like, let's say, for example, Snow has built lots of businesses in 2014, 15, 16 were built this way. Facebook ads, Shopify, landing page, ad creative, good to go, right? Well, unfortunately, that breeds a very, very bad, especially for fresh entrepreneurs. It's really good because you learn a lot about business really fast, but it's bad because you are incentivized to just run an ad. Like I think it was Moiz Ali was saying on the podcast that he was getting $1.20 signups for deodorant, $12 a month. That was 2014. So what that teaches, and he sold his company, he's a genius, but a lot of business owners will sell one thing, a water bottle holder, and they go viral, and then it doesn't expand over time. So what we look for also product innovation. So maybe they have a very patented, unique toothpaste or toothbrush or something unique that could immediately add to our product pipeline that we could use our distribution on. So it's vice versa. So when you're looking, no matter how smart you are, you can literally have zero revenue and you can reach out to companies to assign partnerships. So for example, if I wanted to reach out to the people that license the Smurfs movie and I wanted to come out with a sock line, but I wanted to launch exclusively through Target, I would reach out to people on Target, letting them know about this line. I put together a 2-page deck with AI nowadays. And then I pitch them on it. Target goes, this is dope. If you guys get Smurfs for socks, we will do nationwide and we'll do .com. That's amazing. I go back to Smurfs and go, hey, we got Target.com and nationwide. If we can do the socks, are you ready to sign this contract? And so now with $0, I have a nationwide deal with Target without them knowing who I am. It's Smurfs and it's Target. They both know each other. So it's all influencer marketing works not just to sell products. It works to recruit people. It works in lots of different ways. So anyway, I think when you're starting out, you want to think of, I don't want to get too married to one sales channel. Let me start thinking Walmart.com. Should we be on that marketplace? Amazon.com, Amazon UK. Can we be on there? Are we compliant? You don't have to do it all at once, but just start to think about it, write it down. And then over time, in a year, if you're running the business, you'll start to see email and SMS needs to be stronger. We need some retail. Well, which retail partners will we be in? Ace Hardware, Walmart, Selfridges, Mecca. Which are the retailers that people shop at? You can Google all this stuff. You can AI it. Then you have a little bit of a plan and you go, okay, if this business starts to make me money, I know where I'm going to invest it. And if I want to sell this brand, I know that the brand is going to be valued based on goodwill is a big part of it. So goodwill is actually the highest multiplier in acquisition M&A, and it's a qualitative multiplier. Goodwill is simply like, we got to buy Snow because this, like, the brand and just everyone loves them and like the retailers love them, and that's worth $500 million, we think, in the market. It's not a multiple. It's not. It's just, we just think it's worth $500 million extra because of it's Snow. You start at zero when you start building that, and you'll see throughout the history of even Snow, how you position yourself is more important than sometimes even the products you sell. They have to work, they have to be great. But look at Black Rifle Coffee. Veterans coffee, commoditized. You can get coffee anywhere. But it's, that a veteran packed that bag. It's an American company. That'll get me to switch. And then you have Death Wish coffee. Super high caffeine, not veteran. But people are like, I'm a gamer, I need lots of caffeine, or I'm a trucker, I need the good stuff, I need the Death Wish, $100 million brand. So positioning, the bigger the market, the more unique, or I would say the more reinforced you need that position. So for Snow, it was beauty, supplements, and oral care, have a baby. And that was the idea. Where would that baby be sold? Right? Sound like baby. We're talking about signed babies here. But the product, right? Where would this product be sold? My baby. Well, we sell in Neiman Marcus. We sell in Best Buy. We sell in Walgreens and CVS. So the diversification based off of that started a long time ago. And I said, wow, we built the teeth whitening business with Best Buy. They never had this department. You go on their website, we are the department. So the angling I learned from Alibaba founder Jack Ma. In 1998, 1997, he had a bunch of teachers. He was a teacher at the time, a bunch of teachers and people, and 25 or whatever in his apartment, all crammed. They have pictures and stuff. And he talks, and they said, someone raises their hand. They go, "How are we going to be Yahoo? They're the Silicon Valley champion. How are we ever going to be Yahoo?" And he goes, "We are going to win in the Yangtze River before we go into the ocean, and then we'll win everything." And so the angling was really, really important. Alibaba is actually, you guys know, it's the largest e-commerce company in the world, 5 times bigger than Amazon. And how was that done? Well, I think the positioning and the angling was really important. That's something you can start thinking of today, even with your product. Is you're selling, let's say right now you're selling lotion. You're selling lotion. I would angle that and say I'm selling that for nursing mothers, or I'm selling that for, I don't know, athletes, or what type of athletes? CrossFit athletes. Why? And so the angling is important. And RX Bar did this with CrossFit, and they sold for $600 million at Kellogg's. They were struggling in terms of retail distribution. They rebranded. They put the ingredients on the front, made it all colorful. And then they started putting it in CrossFit boxes and gyms, and they started to build this loyal following. And then the retail took it to that next level, and they sold for $600 million plus. It's a bar. I mean, it's what, you can make one in your kitchen, Kind Bar, it's billions of dollars. The positioning is important. And if your positioning is smart enough, you can pivot, by the way. So you can say, oh, we're going to Snow Teeth Whitening. Now we're just Snow Oral Care. We sell toothbrushes. We sell all kinds of stuff. So you don't necessarily have to figure it out all at once. You just have to figure out a way to angle yourself in that makes the water flood, the money flow a lot easier. And if money's not flowing easily, you're not doing it right. So it's like if you try to force electronics to work, you break it. Sometimes you just need to reset it. Sometimes you need to make sure it's plugged in. And that's the way I think about positioning. That's what I think about early on, is which retailer is none of my competition in. And if I could get that retail partner, let me spend a year calling them, stalking them, sending them product. Because if I can convince them, that's the Yangtze River. Mm-hmm. And that allows me to create that wedge, which with Snow, it's now the number 1 oral cosmetics brand in the world. We're not the number 1 oral care brand. I don't think we'll ever sell the most toothpaste tubes in the world, 700 million a year sold just in the US. But I believe that $100 billion market, just like there's an aspiration for a vegan skincare, vegan hair care, vegan collagen, what about oral care? And so I believe that out of that $100 billion industry, maybe 10%, maybe 20%, maybe half will request or want more choice in that category, just like you can choose 50 peanut butters nowadays. And, there's not that variety and that choice in the number 1 CPG space in the world, which is oral care.
Oh. What will make you satisfied for if Snow, fill in the sentence, like if Snow hits this or Snow gets to this point, you feel like you've achieved it. It sounds almost like you kind of defy the statement of everyone has a number, right? Mm-hmm. If P&G comes to you tomorrow and say, "Hey, Josh, here's $5 billion, walk away," is that it? Maybe doesn't satisfy you. What is that satisfaction point, and what really drove you to kind of get to knowing that it's more than maybe just a number?
So $5 billion is a lot of money, so I'd probably take that. That's a lot. Because then you figure out how do I utilize that cash to reinvest in the ecosystem? How do I invest? What are they going to do with Snow to make it a household name and to get to 100 million users? That's or 50 million or 20 million, anywhere, just grow. Continue to grow that. And if they can grow us with the quality and the customer satisfaction, but 10 times faster, that means that in our lifetime, the proliferance of something I've created would have reached household status at some degree. And I think that is the ubiquity that a lot of entrepreneurs seek, that it's, vital proteins, Obvi, Snow, my hair care line, Anala. I think the idea there is that we get enough people reordering and utilizing it, that it kind of stands really on its own on a global scale. And so I think someone like a Procter and Gamble, Unilever, they could perhaps expedite, or they definitely could, if they choose to, and we choose to, expedite that path together. And perhaps there's a middle mark along the way. I've been really enjoying partnering with other oral care companies, personal care companies, and really kind of that process has been really exciting for me. So I would say I would definitely have to, um, at least look at that offer a few times at that price, right? But
Right.
I think right now I'm so involved with what we're working on. Like and it's always going to be this way, but right now, particularly, we just launched our first toothbrush about a year and a half ago. We just launched our first strips about a year and a half ago. And so we don't have we barely have two types of the strips, the sensitive and the regular. And like, we're barely getting there. And if you walk down an oral care aisle today, you see hundreds of products staring at you. And so there's a lot of excitement on that side that I'd be kind of a little bit sad to give up even a little bit of control on in terms of what we have going on. The team's got a really nice product pipeline. We're really excited about it. But again, it comes down to what is our ultimate goal? And the ultimate goal is for Snow and its family of companies to become a household name on a global scale by the time, hopefully by the time I, leave this earth. And I think that that's really ultimate. And then to use that power base to inspire, use that cash basis to invest. Yeah, I think that's it. So if there was a partner that could expedite that, where we could partner with bigger companies faster, right now we're doing a lot of it on our own. We've got an investor base, but we're operators. We are oral care operators, and we're challenger operators. And we have a platform now that we want to leverage so that other entrepreneurs, I want as many partners with me as possible to cross this, because it's such a big market. But I don't know. I think the power base is the biggest thing that you miss. So Obvi sells, and everyone knows you as the Obvi guys, and everyone in town, and and then let's say whoever buys you shuts down that brand, or they don't grow it, or something happens. There's a certain aspect. And in my case, my last name is Snow, so it's very important that whoever partners with me is going to ensure the longevity of this brand and the family of brands, because I've accepted that Snow alone can't capture enough of the market to be impactful enough for what's happening in the next 10 years. And so that at least has opened up the abundance side. And that also keeps me a lot more challenged, because now you're talking about geos, you're talking about retail channels, you're talking about a lot of different things that you're integrating. But that's what private equity does. I mean, private equity injects, $500 million of cash, and they take a single standalone and they go and buy 20 of them, right? Diageo is an aggregator. We're doing our own version in personal care, oral care more specifically, because we know that roadmap very well, economies of scale, manufacturing, retail. So I'm going to continue to do that until we attract a partner at the right timing, or that has, gets it. Sometime there's going to be someone along the way, and there have been many, our investors, our customers, all that. But there will be someone along the way that I think sees what we see and will want to reinforce to make sure that we do bring the best products to market.
So you brought up Nala, right? I think one of the coolest trends that we're starting to see are these creator-led brands, right? You see Mr. Beast with Feastables, Nala with, Lala, and where do you feel the future of that is going, right? Is that something that can be an opportunity to build brands that actually find their way in this market, or is it more of just like a fad?
Half and half. It's half and half. There's never been what we have today, where audience has always been around, but the ability to influence an audience at mass since Twitter days and beyond, even before then, has never been at this level. So you have people that have never started business in their life with 50 million followers getting pressured and getting all these deals and all this stuff and saying, okay, I want to take it to the next level. And so you've seen that early days with the Paul brothers, and now with Prime Energy drink, onto the scene. What they figured out is, over time, how do we monetize our audience without sacrificing relevance? So they had the liquidity figured out already. The relevance thing they had figured out because they're very famous, but that is their net worth initially. And so Rihanna with Fenty, Obviously, that partnership with LVMH, they own Sephora, so a natural rollout was there, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar brand. And she's made like I think 85% of her net worth or whatever from the brand versus music. We see that time and time again, and that's been around for 20 plus years, 30 plus years. We've seen George Foreman Grill, billions of dollars in sales, and I can go on and on of the success stories. Cindy Crawford, all this stuff. I would say that, and the thing that stood out to me the most, and why me and Lala jumped on, and I decided to push forward with Lala's idea for Anala, which was rice water based and hair care. Yes, for textured hair customers, but really to bring elevated hair care to a global audience. Lala's audience is also global. They follow her all around the world. And so us having just a few retail spots and a .com is not big enough for that brand in terms of reach. So I think there's a fad piece. I'll talk about the fad piece first. So the fad piece is, I got a few million followers. I'm going to sell a waist trainer or some fat burner or some random stuff or whatever. And then it's not a real brand. They're not delivering the product. It's some fly by night company. And so that again wastes the relevance of that person. And so now influencers are privy to, oh, wait a second. We've seen Kylie. We've seen all these people who create brands, Fenty. If I'm at that level, I want to create something at that level. So then what I do is I work with the celebrities to figure out topical relevance based on monetization. So if you're on the Teen Mom Show, selling a waist trainer is going to make you 100 grand, 200 grand, maybe $1 million, but you're going to waste your relevance doing that. So you're going to run out of brand equity. Brand equity is like a bank account. Every time you do something, you withdraw from that bank account. The larger the bank account balance, like a Paul brother, the more risky things you can do, but also the more risk you're taking as the whole basis, because that's where your worth is from. The more that you're able to borrow from that worth and create seedlings that then create Snow brand equity or Prime energy drink brand equity, you now can afford to make more, kind of take more of those risks because your judgment's being solidified. So, and judgment's the highest paid skill in the world. So I think fad-wise, it's people that got famous for quote unquote a reason, but they got famous for a reason. They dance, they sing, and then they're figuring out what to sell next, and it's difficult. So they'll come out with a private label brand, or they'll come out with something. Again, you're withdrawing from that bank account, or they take brand deals, which is short-term cash and also risking that. So there's this confusing point now where everyone is an influencer today. Billions of people label themselves as an influencer. Anyone with an Instagram account or TikTok is an influencer technically. So now this world has opened up. And I call it a fad because I've talked to retailers all across the world, especially in the US, and they're afraid of the word celebrity. They don't, if it's celebrity based, they're like, hold on, we did this already. And we tried every celebrity, because every celebrity and their mom was coming out with something. So if I'm on the Teen Mom Show, instead of coming out with a waist trainer, I'm coming out with life insurance. And I'm going to find a company that I can sell life insurance to single moms so that if something happens to the kids, you know they're taken care of. That message is going to resonate. It's going to reinforce why they follow that person. It's going to talk directly to it. And the nice thing is you got to sell 100,000 waist trainers to make a couple of $1 million. You sell 1% of that, 1,000 policies, and you can retire that next month. So like the difference is substantial. And so I think that's where the opportunity is monetizing influence. Building influence takes time. It's difficult. In Dior's circumstance, 100 years, and you have to acquire it. With an influencer, you can waste that very quickly. Scandal comes out, etc. So you want to be careful. So that's why I think fad, when it's just a Me Too product, it doesn't match, or there's not like a thing there, that's going to be very difficult. In Lala's case, when she came to me, it was, I don't want to be the face. Like, I don't want to put my picture on the packaging. I don't want to, I'll do some end cap work and promote it and all this, but the idea is to create the world's best rice water products and deliver that as affordably as possible to as big of a global audience as possible. So that was the idea. And her thinking was, can we get into distribution so that more people buy the product, not because of me, they don't even know me. That's what we're seeking, because that's brand ubiquity. And a lot of the big brands that have that reach don't have a celebrity founder. So I think that there's a way to expedite it, and that's that other half. So fad, and now you got the other half. The other half is genuine. A business is a business, man. You got to think through all of it. And so you got to think through, like the Paul brothers figured out with the Prime hydration or whatever, that those guys are doing the Prime. And same thing with Happy Dad with the beer. They took very large markets, that connect to their audience, that make selling natural, but have very high multiples. Both are driven by distribution. Distribution is kind of taken advantage of by the fact that Logan Paul or whatever has 50 million followers. So going to Walmart and Mr. Beast goes to Walmart, they're going to give him that distribution. So he's playing he's leveraging his brand equity to secure distribution, and then choosing a commoditized space with a wedge of an angle, just like we talked about, because that's actually less risky than a Paul brother coming out with a SaaS product for podcasters. Even though that may be what he wants to do and it could have high multiples, it's not going to resonate as well. And you can see this with Grant Cardone and Ty Lopez. They raised money from their crowd. And same thing with ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson. Instead of creating another supplement offer, he sold the shovel to the audience. And so understanding those mechanics are more important than, like, I don't know how many people I've talked to with 10 million plus followers, and they're coached by the wrong people. They're coached by the influencer manager. They're coached by their friend because they got 5 million followers overnight. And they're like, you should do your own shampoo brand. Yeah, I've always thought of that. And they're going down this whole freaking path. The truth is, and what Lala was smart enough and I was smart enough, is that we're going to team up. And we're going to we didn't pay for any of the Kardashians, all of her friends to post, zero. And the reason why I really wanted, from a business perspective, for my own personal journey, was I paid millions of dollars to celebrities to work with our brands and to do all these things. I wanted to close that loop. I wanted to kind of finish that lap in terms of partnering directly with one of the most loved celebrities in one of the most difficult categories to break into, hair care, and see if we can wedge in with rice water, textured hair, African American and Latina hair, and have a minority-owned, woman-owned story, and be able to tap that for distribution. And again, it's a similar model every single time, but the smartest business models win, and those are not the most complex. Sometimes they're the most simple. So that's what I spend most of my time on, is aiming, where back in the day I just sprayed and prayed.
It's crazy. Oh man, probably best episode we've had ever.
So.
I told you I was looking forward to this.
Yeah, we were too. I think we knew what to expect, but you always outshine it.
So, Josh, one thing that we do towards the end of every episode is, if there's one thing you want the viewers to take away and kind of implement in their business right now, right? What would that one thing be?
Fire 50% of your lower performing staff. Do it as fast as you can. Look at, I know that sounds harsh, and that could be agencies, vendors, contractors, consultants, all kinds of stuff. What I'm really saying is, we just went through a pandemic. We just went through a work from home evolution. Work is changing. There's been the relationship between employer and employee has been challenged more than ever recently. And so there are a lot of dynamics at play. The best thing is I would say, look at your team, look at your processes. If you don't have a team, look at where you're spending your time. Write down every hour where you're spending your time and take the lower 50% and swap that out for better performing activities. Do that every 6 months, like you should change your insurance, so that you optimize to a point where you don't have to do it as often. And so that's difficult for a lot of people because they hire friends early on and they make a lot of promises and, all these things, and the business suffers as a result of it. And actually, the team member suffers as well on top of you, because the team member is not growing the way they're supposed to be going. They're holding back. They're not. There's all that stuff. So there's a lot of unspoken things. And I would say, get really comfortable with radical transparency, crucial conversations, confrontation, and utilize the global workforce to your advantage to be able to replace those people with people that maybe in the beginning you kind of hire people with expectation and potential of where they're going to go. As you're at a certain stage of business, like where Snow is, we have to hire people for exactly where they're at, with an opportunity to grow them world class. And that means we have to meet them at a near world class level, but they're the underdogs, or they got, their last company just wasn't the right product fit for what their skill set is. And there's some things like that, and we're looking for those people. But I would say audit and monitor your expenses, including your team, including your time, and fire the lower 50% of staff, activities, whatever that adds up to, and repeat that every 6 months until you feel that you're on the right track.
He just gave us some homework.
Chew on that.
Chew on that. That was incredible. Josh, thank you, man. That was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Thanks, guys. No, thank you. I really appreciate it. And the next one, I'm going to be there with you guys in person.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
I might need a new hoodie or a new shirt. But
we got you.
I'll be there, man.
We're an entrepreneur investor.
Love you, man.
Thank you so much.
I've been getting comments all day, and I was walking around London wearing this in preparation for this interview, and I just got people stopping me, like, because I was walking through stores and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you the CEO of Zara?
Yeah, start doing that.
That's epic. That's
I
epic.
think it's very clever, guys, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Hey,
I will.
Thank you.
I will come on if you guys will have me again in the future.
We'd love that. We'd love that in person. Thank you.
If you want more from us, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, and check out the website chewonthis.io.